Hello and welcome to ReginaldESQ. I'm Underhook and this is my review of the Chinese Tier 7 heavy tank, the IS-2. So is it any good? Yeah, it's a really good tank. If you liked the Russian IS at Tier 7 heavy, you will like the Chinese IS-2. It's virtually the same tank with just some slight modifications to the exterior of the tank, which also affect the performance of the tank. So if we look here, I'll get the IS up. Here's the IS, here's the IS-2. When I do it like that, you can't really see much difference. The difference though, this is the IS, the Russian version. If you look at the front here, this is where you're going to see the difference. You can see here that the armor has a heavy slope and then it has a much less of a slope here where the driver's viewport is. It kind of flattens out a bit. If we look at the IS-2, you'll see the front is quite different. It has more of a consistent slope right across the entire front of the tank and is, in my opinion, a better design. It's a much more bouncy design. However, what they have done is, instead of saying, well, let's make the front of the tank stronger and more bouncy, they've used that in better shaping to reduce the thickness of the armor. So it's now, here's the Russian IS, and the IS-2 has 20mm less armor at the front here. So it pretty much ends up about the same as the IS as far as the bounciness goes. I didn't really notice it being any better or any worse. It's pretty much the same, but it's 20mm less. So what's the point, you may ask? The point is the tank is now faster and more maneuverable than the IS, and there's your key advantage. The only other noticeable exterior difference is this one has a machine gun on the roof, which the IS doesn't. So let's have a look at, get into review. It has 1280 hit points, which is quite low for a Tier 7 heavy. The lowest is the AMX M445 with 1200 hit points, and the T29 also has 1250, so they're pretty low, and the IS only has 1230, so it's higher than the IS by 50. It's at 1280, but it's still amongst the lower there. The highest is the Tiger one with 1500, which is quite a bit more. Weight wise, it weighs in the same as the IS at 46 tons, which is the equal lightest. Don't ram any other Tier 7 heavies. Generally speaking, you won't come off well. The speed of 37 km an hour in forward is very good and is the second fastest of the Tier 7 heavies, the fastest being the Tiger one at 40. And it is 3 km an hour faster than the IS. So that's not a huge increase in speed, but it's definitely welcome and it's better. The traverse of 38 degrees is the best of any Tier 7 heavy. The next best is the IS with 35 degrees. So you can see it's faster in a straight line and it turns more quickly as well. The next best traverse at this tier is the AMX M445 at 24. So you can see 38 is way above the others and is one of the reasons why these are sometimes considered to be a heavy medium tank rather than a full-on heavy. The turret traverse of 28 to 29 degrees is the same as the IS and is on the upper side of average. The only tanks with better turret traverse is the AMX M445 and the Black Prince. So it's very, very maneuverable and turns its turret fast. It really is like a heavy medium tank. The view range of 350 is of course identical to the IS and isn't great. The only one that's worse is the KV-3. The Russian tanks don't have great view range. The best would be the both the Tigers at Tier 7 with 380 and the T29 also with 380. So the gun isn't very accurate anyway, so you can't really get away with much long-range shooting. You do have to be close, but just bear in mind that towards the end of the game, if you're chasing after someone who's a long way away, you are kind of blind. The signal range of 600 is the worst of any Tier 7 heavy and is worse than the IS at 625, but it's very, very poor signal range, so you really are relying on being close to your opponents. The camouflage is pretty much identical to the IS. The only thing that is worse really is this machine gun turret on the top, which kind of helps to give away your location a little bit more when you're near hills and things like that. But that said, the camouflage is very good and is it's only slightly worse than the IS, but that makes it the second best anyway. So it is good camouflage. Gun depression is not as good as the IS. It's -5 degrees versus -6 on the IS, so you do lose a little bit there, but I didn't really notice it that much. But that does make it the worst of any Tier 7 heavy tank. So it's like the IS, it's not a hill fighter. So, you know, yeah, it's just a weakness the tank has. It has a gun elevation of 20 degrees, which also is not as good as the IS, which had 25 degrees. And it's not bad, though. It's quite serviceable. I didn't have any problems with it. Let's have a quick look at the grind for this tank. I didn't find any aspect of this grind particularly painful at all. The as you can see here, the standard gun is quite good anyway. The only real difference between the gun that you start with, the JT gun here, is that the rate of fire is a little lower, and the accuracy is a little worse. Other than that, it's pretty much an identical gun, so it's not a painful grind. But of course you do want the top gun, because you want that increased rate of fire of 4.88 rounds per minute and the accuracy of 0.46. Unfortunately, we still have the slow loading time of 3.4, which isn't great, but still does the 390 damage of the 122mm and has 175 pen. Same as the KV-1S had at tier 6 in the Russian line, and it's, this gun is identical in every respect to the Russian IS gun, except that we don't have quite as good a gun depression as the Russians, but other than that, it's identical. And it is a very good gun. Penetration of 175 is, look, really great at tier 7, not a problem. At tier 8 you can have a few bounces, and at tier 9 you'll get quite a few bounces. Unfortunately, with this series of tanks, the accuracy of 0.46 is a real problem at tier 9, because your penetration is a bit low, but you have trouble hitting weak spots. You know, we really do have trouble hitting weak spots because of that accuracy. So you could use the premium ammo. I don't think I used any premium ammo in this tank at all, I don't think, but it has 250 mils of pen with premium, so you could use that, and that is very good pen with the premium ammunition, so that's a good option. Other than that, yeah, the engine, you really want to get the top engine in this, because the speed of the tank is one of its greatest assets, and of course even the top radio is terrible, so you really have to get that as well. And once again, you want to get the tracks, because it takes you traverse from 36 to 38, and the maneuverability speed is one of the main assets, apart from the gun, of course, of this tank. I think I've said pretty much all I need to say about it. Well, let's have a look at some Tank Inspector, and then we'll have a look at some gameplay. I have got a couple of good games for you. Now, my stats in this tank, as far as my damage ratio, kill ratio, all that is pretty much identical to the IS. I had a look at it, and I've played, you know, quite a few games, and it's very similar. I think I've played over 200 games in this sucker, and it's pretty similar to the IS as far as my percentages go. The only thing is that I have noticed that my average experience is higher in this tank. It's about 780 in this tank. I think it's only about 700 in the IS. So I think that, though, that is because, might be because I'm a better player now than I was before. Maybe that's why, I'm not sure. My crew is 100% trained, and the commander has a mentor and he's working on situational awareness. Driver has, oh, this is the driver or the gunner? The gunner has snapshot and is working on repairs. The driver has smooth ride and is working on repairs, and the loader has camouflage and is working on repairs. So to give you a bit of an idea there, I do have vents fitted, and I do have the gun laying drive fitted, and I also have binoculars during the games. I have a small repair kit, large repair kit, and large first aid kit. The IS-2 in Tank Inspector. Let's have a quick look at the colorized view. We can see here that the lower plate is 100mm thick, which is the same as it is in the IS, but the upper plate here is a consistent 90mm thick. Now on the IS you have a small section here which is about 70mm thick, and then this upper section here with the driver's viewport around there is actually 120mm thick. So when I said it was 20mm less, I'm wrong. It's actually 30mm less in the thickest parts. However, the driver's viewport drops to 100 mils on the IS, whereas here it's still 90, but it's very, very well sloped, as you can see. The side areas here on the IS are 100mm. On this tank they're 90, but on this tank they are a better shape in my opinion and quite bouncy. Moving on to the side of the tank, it is also a consistent 90mm all the way across, so you can angle this tank at 45 degrees, and if you're going to bounce shots you need to angle. If you're front on in this tank, you won't bounce very much. It does really need to be angled to bounce because the armor is, in many cases, borderline. It's not a real tough stand in front and take all comers type of heavy tank. That said, tier 5 heavies like KV1, that sort of thing, if you angle, you will bounce them, not a problem, and if you are front on, you'll still bounce them occasionally. But once we get to sort of tier 6, tier 7 heavies, you really need to be angled. Tier 8, you will bounce some of them. Tier 9, you're not going to bounce anything, so don't even try. Now, frontally, the turret is, I think, identical to the IS, or almost identical. These cheek areas here are 100mm thick and very well shaped, so unless they hit you right on the edge of it, they're going to bounce. Now the mantlet is pretty tough, so some areas here I'm just getting 100 mils, but on most areas you see it's overlapping the 90 mils underneath, and we've got 100 over 90, which is pretty darn tough and hard for anything except maybe tier 9s to get through. Up here, once again, it's back to 90 mils. The cupola is also 90 mils, although it's not too badly shaped. It's got a bit of angling unless you're close to the top of the turret, in which case it's pretty easy to pin. And the rest of the turret is also 90 mils, and that's all around front and back, except for the machine gun port, which is 80. So if you're a scout and you get behind one or back of the turret, you can pop one into the machine gun port. The rear of the tank is 60mm thick, although it is sloped quite heavily. It's still not going to stop very much. That said, not bad armor, but really this tank, it's the maneuverability of it that is key. The map is Karelia. It's a tier 7 game, and we're in our tier 7 IS. There's the enemy has, let's see, 6 tier 7 tanks and a bunch of tier 6s and a tier 5 and a tier 4. So not a bad game for us. Good matchup. It's encounter mode and we are defending. So this is the area I usually like to go with this sort of tank. Now, some heavies you probably wouldn't want to go out here if you had a really slow heavy. One, you wouldn't get out here in time, and two, you wouldn't be able to maneuver very well. But with this tank is quite maneuverable, as is the Tiger there in front of me, and they're quite good tanks for going out to this area. So even though this tank isn't a great hill fighter, I'm kind of going to use it a little bit in that way. And I'm going to use this tank in this instance much more like a medium tank. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get around the Tiger there. I ran into him. I hope I didn't mess his shot up. So I like to get right up here at the start of the game, normally in a bit of a faster tank than this, and normally without crashing into anyone, and get up and try and get them as they crest the hill and coming over to this area. But I'm a bit late. Okay, so we've got the side of a Comet. I'm quite willing to take a shot from that Comet to give one off because I do more damage to him. So he only does 69 damage to us. He is a tier 7 medium tank. He didn't have any trouble penning us though. I think he's got about 158 mils of penetration from the top of his head. And as you can see, there are fire at that T25/2, but I miss. This gun is really a gun that you need to aim fully. Even at pretty close range, sort of close medium range, you still need to fully aim. It's only when you're like point blank that you can get away with not really aiming. Comet. I just bounced off the side of the Comet. It must have been a ricochet. That was just really bad luck there. He turned just at the right time, and we would have killed him, but unfortunately he lives on. We get one into him this time though, and we didn't actually kill him anyway. So he get the T-3485 gets a hit into us for 96. So as you can see, it's not like real super bouncy heavy tank armor. But then moving up and down here like myself and the Tiger are doing, you can't really do that in a lot of heavy tanks either, so it's a bit of a trade-off. So I'm going to shot this IS. No, he's behind the rock. I thought he was just there. Now we get a shot of this guy. A bit more time to aim, and we managed to finish him off. So that was good. So really working these guys over before they get a chance to get to this ridge we're on now and get in position. So you can see I'm backing up to reload. I just don't want to get caught without a shell in my gun. Because one of your biggest defences in these sort of tanks that hit hard and the armor's not great, your biggest defense is a loaded gun, because a lot of people will back away. Like that Comet, when I had shots on that Comet, instead of taking a shot at me, he really should have just run. But he didn't, he traded shots, and you can't trade shots with a tank that does 390 damage when you're in something that, you know, is so light. So that's yeah. So you need to have a loaded gun, and when your gun's not loaded, you need to be not in front of anyone. So I wait for this Tiger to come a bit closer. He seems to be unaware of my presence, and then I see he's fired. So I come up, because I know I have to expose my tank to get a shot. Lower plate, and we set him on fire. Typical Tiger, poor bugger. Lower plate sets him on fire fairly frequently. So we managed to do 483 of that damage was just fire. That really burnt up. So now I see a chance to outflank this IS. I'm just going to drive straight down, hopefully get him in the back here, or the side it looks like. So we did another nice damage there for 411. We're getting some good hits in this game. Now I did say you can't ram anybody in this tank, but it is an IS, it's the same weight. But interestingly, neither of us take any damage. Just making sure of my final shot here into the side. And managed to take him out. Now, the enemy, I only just noticed, is capping. I'm getting hit by a Nashorn from the side, which is the first real damage I've taken for the game. But I've got to get back to base. Our other flank must have just completely collapsed while we were fighting it out there. They've got 2 tanks on cap, and it doesn't look like we're going to get back. I don't know why the Chiri stopped. End of the game. Okay, so an unfortunate ending to a good game. Our other flank completely collapsed, and by the time we dealt with the tanks at our end to turn around, and it was just too late, unfortunately. So well done to the other team. We managed to get a class 2 for that game, and we got high caliber, which is nice. So because we've got high caliber, we've got our courageous resistance, which gave us some extra XP, and we finished 2nd overall for XP. The IS on the other team finished top for experience, even though it did not much damage. I don't know how that worked out. Anyway, yep, good game. So we fired 8 shots, 6 of those were direct hits, and 6 of them penetrated. Although we did bounce one off the side of that Comet. So I don't know, that maybe it did track damage, so it still counted as a penetration. We actually did 2,610 damage, which is pretty good. We received 3 hits, all 3 of the hits penetrated. So you can see there, they're not a bouncy tank, but it's pretty much the same as the IS. That's not bouncy either, really. Enemy vehicles spotted 2, and we damaged 4, destroyed 3, which is not bad. Damage caused with our assistance was 696, which is also pretty good. Good income, 45,000 income, and for the courageous resistance we've got another 5,000, so a total of 50,000 income. You can see here, ammunition really isn't that expensive considering the amount of damage you do with each shot. We didn't take too much damage, so not many repair costs, but very good profit. It is a very profitable tank, and it does earn good XP, this tank as well. So we earned a total of 1,012 XP with our courageous resistance added on. And with premium that came up to 1,500, so it's pretty good. Next game. The map is Himmelsdorf. It's a dream matchup for me and my tier 7 IS-2 because there are only 2 tier 7 tanks on each team. The enemy has an IS and a Chiri, and we have myself and a Tiger 1. The rest are, there's quite a few tier 6 tanks and there's a bunch of tier 5, so really good matchup for me. I'm still not 100% used to the new Himmelsdorf map, and I start going the wrong way. I take the long way round, but I'm going to get there. As you see, this tank does move really, really well for a heavy tank. Great maneuverability. And that's one thing I think why I don't notice the 5 degrees of gun depression as being too bad, because the tank, you can move to a better position to get a shot without too much trouble. Now I can see that they've already got someone on the cap, couple of our tanks divert off back there to take care of it, and I think, okay, I'll keep going. We've got a couple of guys diverting it. Now, 2 more guys divert to have a look at it. How many people do we need to stop one person on the cap? We've already got another one of our tanks on the cap. How many of you guys need to go there? So now it's just myself, the Tiger, and luckily we've got a Cromwell who has moved up to take an advanced spotting position, thankfully, so he's allowing us to know whether it's safe to move forward or not. I decided to go around this side of the rock because I see that T-34 just there, and I figure there might also be some other guys. I don't, because there's so few of us, the Cromwell's already protecting that flank, or, you know, looking there, so I figure I'll go this flank and try and, so we don't get taken from behind. And M6 is cresting the ridge. Managed to get a shot into him, which was a little bit lucky, considering the accuracy of this gun. I did wait for it to be fully aimed, but someone else hit him as well, so he's almost dead. So he is probably regretting trying to exchange shots with an IS-2. The other guy ducks down as soon as he sees us coming. I don't bother chasing him. I decide to press on. I think it's a mistake chasing them down there at this stage because it takes them a long time to get back up. We don't need that many tanks down there. We need tanks up here in case there's trouble. And here's trouble, an IS. So I fire at the front of the IS. I hit his nice thick armor there and bounce. Unfortunately, I did go for the flattest part, and I was trying to hit one of his ports, but just didn't get through. Anyway, he gives us a shot at his back. Thankfully, the Cromwell managed to basically distract him, I guess. But he made a big mistake going for the Cromwell, and his reload time lets him down, and we managed to put a shot into the back of him. I'm wondering whether his gun was damaged, actually. Anyway, the Cromwell gets finished off, unfortunately, by it's either the Churchill 1 or the AT-8 that's over there. Somebody just hit the AT-8. I don't know who it was, because I can't see anybody that's got a shot on it. Might have been, I don't know who it was. It might have been Artie. No, we haven't got Artie. Hellcat, maybe. So I decided to move up and have a go at this Churchill. Now, on any other day, that would have gone straight through the side of that tank. I don't know why it didn't go through, but anyway, the AT-8 puts a shot into us. I'm not happy about that. So I go to have another shot. I don't know which one I'm going to shoot yet, the AT-8 or the Churchill, but I go for the Churchill. This time I go right for the front, and it goes through, only doing 312 damage, which is a very low roll for a gun that does an average 390 damage. So I'm not worried about the shots I'm taking from these tanks. They both do low damage, so I'm quite willing to take a shot to give a shot. I've got plenty of health left. So I start aiming at his cupola, and someone kills him before I fire, so I move in and put it into the Churchill. So I start turning to move up here, and then I decide, you know what, I don't want to be front on to those guys, and I've got 2 guys here who are going to be front on. I'm going to try and get round the back. Remembering that, you know, and this is how I play this tank, for me personally, you don't have to play this way, of course. For me, it's more like you're in a medium. Oh, Chi-Ri. So he's got that triple firing gun. I'm well angled to him. I probably angled too much there because I wanted to back out of sight. And he gets one into me. I don't know if he's got the 3-shot gun or the single shot gun at the moment. I'm going to get the Chi-Ri, and I was surprised by the VK-301H German heavy tank sitting there. But he cops one from me and from someone else, so he's not feeling too good now. I move around. Once again, though, I decide, unless I've got an easy shot in him, I decide not to chase him down there. I think it's much more important to get rid of the guys up here on the top of the hill first. So take care of the KV-1S, dangerous tank. I start lining up on this guy because he's sitting right in front of my gun. He bounces one off me. I fire, and just as I fire, somebody else kills him. Bummer. So then we've got the Chi-Ri. I want to get a shot on this Chi-Ri, but he moves. I decide to go for the Hellcat. He was waiting for me. So I go back and finish off the Chi-Ri because the Hellcat moves back out of sight. He gets finished by the other guys though. So it was a bit of a bummer of a situation that, but my gun depression basically stopped me from shooting back at the Hellcat, or I would have finished him there before or as he was firing at me, but I couldn't do it due to the lack of gun depression. So I think, oh, the other guys are probably up around here somewhere. But then I start thinking, well, if they were up around here, they probably should have been helping the other tanks. And I can see there's a Chinu pretty much on the other side of the map, back near our spawn point, our starting point. And I'm thinking, oh, maybe I'm going the wrong way. I can see the Hellcat down there. I think he'll spot anything down that part. And I'll spot anything up this part. There is no artillery. They're down to 2 tanks now. So now I'm thinking, maybe I should dart across. And then I see the T-150's been spotted right over the other side. So I'm thinking now, yeah, I need to get across there. I'm not going to take any further part in the game if I don't. I don't think our victory is in much doubt. I think we're going to get the victory, but I would like to get a couple more hits. Here is the T-150. This is very long range. This is 567 meters. You'd be very lucky to hit this. And we are very lucky. Doing 344, which is once again a low damage for this gun, but still pretty good. We've had a lot of below average damage shots in this game, like that VK we only did 360 something to him. But you know, such is life. At least we're hitting. That was a really a bit of a lucky shot for this tank. So I'm making my way across. I don't know where the KV... Oh, there he is. The KV-1 has appeared. He does well to hit me with that shot, but the KV-1's gun just isn't a match for the armor on the IS-2. So I don't really worry too much about taking shots. See, I go over a bump there. My gun depression means I can't shoot back. He's doing everything he can, maneuvering to throw my aim off. So well done to him. Although he could have tried angling his armor about 45 to me, he might have bounced me. Does have pretty good armor, the KV-1. Very good armor for a tier 5 tank. But giving me his side like that was a guaranteed pen for me. He was a bit unlucky though, getting caught out there. Neither of us had spotted each other. And oh, here's the T-150. Okay, I really want to get Top Gun. I've got 5 kills. This is it for Top Gun, folks. He's a one-shot kill. Lining.
We didn't penetrate their armor.
No! I tracked him. His tracks ate the shot. Reload, reload, come on. Oh, he's been killed. Missed it by that much. Well, we won the game, which is great. We just missed out on Top Gun. I really wanted that Top Gun. That shot would have killed him, and his tracks ate it. Just, well, we had good luck hitting him at over 500 meters before that, so I guess, yeah, we had to have some bad luck. Anyway, that game was our mastery game in the tank, which is great. We got a high caliber and a steel wall for that game too, so it was a great game anyway. And let's have a look at the next screen. You can see that we finished on top for experience and for damage as well. The Tiger 1, shout out to him, he had a really good game as well, doing almost 3,000 damage. So yeah, the two of us kind of cleaned up there. And you can see here that we fired 16 shots, of which 15 hit, which is an unusual result for a tank with a 122mm. So we were, well, most of the time we were fairly close range, but we had a few lucky shots as well. So that was a good result. 13 penetrations, although we know at least one of those was just track damage. And we did a total of 3,225 damage, which is very good. And one of those shots was over 300 meters, which was that shot. It was over 500 meters. Hits received 13, penetration 7, so we bounced 6 shots. So you can see that when we're against lower tier tanks, it's very bouncy. Once you get though, you know, if you're facing a lot of tier 7, tier 8, tier D9 tanks, you're not going to bounce much. Blocked by armor 690. We damaged 8 vehicles, destroying 5 of those, and we did assistance damage of 733. A fair bit of that coming, well, about 250 coming off that T-150 we tracked at the end there. We earned 57,000 income, and even though we fired quite a few shots, all standard ammunition though, we ended up with 35,000 profit, which is pretty good profit. Experience though, we earned a lot. It was 1,377 raw experience, which is pretty damn good. With premium it comes up to 2,065, and it happened to be triple times 3 for your first game weekend. So he managed to get a total of 6,195 experience, which is very nice, thank you. Thanks for watching my review of the IS-2. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more, please subscribe to ReginaldESQ. Have fun.